going? Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at my 1989 Chevrolet Blazer Silverado. I picked this thing up towards the end of last year because I've always wanted one, and quite frankly, it was a really good deal. Now, this thing is not perfect by any means. It needs some rust repair. It needs other things. It's dirty, you know, you name it. It's just an old truck, but these things are super, super cool, and I just couldn't pass up the opportunity when, you know, it came up. So I've just been having fun with this. I haven't posted really any kind of substantial content on it, and I'm quite frankly not sure if it's going to make it into a series on YouTube or not. It's just too early to tell with all of the other projects that I want to finish in the meantime. So anyway, I need to do some service work to this, change the oil and whatnot, so I figured this would be a good opportunity to at least go ahead and film an in-depth review on it. So of course, in this video, I'm going to cover all of the ins and outs and take it on a thorough drive. I'd like to extend a big thanks to Valvoline as well for all of their support. I've got a link down in the description below if you'd like to learn more about what specific oil I'm using in this and why. I've been using their products for years now, so it really means a lot to be able to work with them on the YouTube side. So be sure to support the brands to support the channel. I really appreciate it. This thing also sounds really, really good. The exhaust system is kind of screwed up on it, but it's loud and it's awesome. So of course we'll get plenty of sound clips. I'll also talk a bit about the history of the K5 Blazer, what made this Silverado trim different from the rest of the lineup, and so much more. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up and let her run. The K5 Blazer was the smallest full-sized SUV of the Chevrolet C and K truck family. It was first introduced in 1969 and ran through 3 generations before being replaced by the Chevrolet Tahoe in 1995. It was only offered in 2-door configuration, with its closest competitor being the Ford Bronco. The generation of Blazer you're looking at here was produced between 1973 and 1991. For 1989, the Blazer received restyled grills and body side moldings, plus a richer exterior finish thanks to a new base coat clear coat paint process. They also expanded the use of galvanized steel to more areas of the body and subsequently bumped the anti-corrosion warranty up to 6 years or 100,000 miles. All of this was a pretty big deal at the time, although seeing how this example has weathered over the years, it's up to debate on how successful those changes actually were. One of the key design elements of the first and second generation Blazer, same with the Bronco, was the removable roof. The whole back section behind the cab can be unbolted and pulled off for an awesome open-air experience. The side glass on this example has the optional deep tinted solid glass panels, but you could also order windows that could be opened, which was a nice feature for extra rear seat ventilation. 2 trim levels were offered for 1989, Scottsdale and Silverado. The Scottsdale was the standard trim, while the Silverado fancied things up by a significant margin. From the outside, Silverados came with a deluxe molding package that included body side and rear black moldings with bright trim and bright wheel opening moldings. The grille was accented by additional chrome trim with dark argent painted accents and dual rectangular halogen headlamps. You also got a bright tailgate applique, bright front side marker lamps and tail lamp trim, and special Silverado badging. When Chevrolet introduced an all-new half-ton pickup for 1988, the Blazer, alongside the Suburban, continued the classic square-body design up through 1991. There's quite a lot of similarities between the Blazer and the C&K trucks. All of the front body panels, including the front doors and windshield, plus other random parts, are all interchangeable, which makes parts easy to find when it comes to doing a restoration. The Blazer was offered with a lot of colors and color combinations to choose from. In addition to the standard solid color choices, you had 3 optional two-tone color options, including conventional two-tone, special two-tone, and deluxe two-tone. Each option had different ways of how the two colors were laid out. Depending on the option, you also had different choices of stripe colors that would separate the two primary paint colors. Although the selections were more limited, you can even have the removable top in different colors. It's really quite awesome how far you could go to personalize one of these trucks. It's not something you see too often anymore. The Blazer was offered with several different wheel and tire packages. This example is fitted with the optional 6-lug 15 by 8 inch rally wheels, which feature polished trim rings and chrome hubcaps. They're wrapped in 31 inch by 10.5 inch all-terrain tires. These are my favorite factory offered wheels. They fit the Blazer perfectly. When it came to stopping power, vacuum assisted power brakes were standard on gas powered Blazers. Anti-lock brakes were not offered in 1989. However, a rear wheel anti-lock braking system was added in 1990. The front disc brakes measure 11.86 by 1.29 inches. They utilize single piston calipers. The rear drum brakes measure 11.15 by 2.75 inches. Stopping performance is surprisingly decent. Way back when these things were new, Motor Week found it took 140 feet to stop from 60 miles an hour, which was a respectable distance for that time. The biggest issue is that, due to its size and weight, panic stops aren't very linear, which is an important thing to be aware of when the situation presents itself. Brake fade is also a concern when pushed hard repeatedly, especially when towing down steep grades. This example was pretty well loaded from the factory, featuring quite a lot of upgraded chassis components, including a heavy-duty front suspension with quad shocks for improved ride quality and handling, a limited slip rear differential and automatic locking front hubs for improved traction, 373 gearing, a heavy-duty radiator with transmission oil cooler, front tow hooks, and much more. The front suspension consists of tapered leaf springs, full floating 10-bolt GM 30-spline axles, and a stabilizer bar. The rear suspension consists of semi-elliptic 2-stage leaf springs and semi-floating GM 10-bolt 30-spline axles. Ground clearance front and rear measures 6.9 and 7.1 inches respectively. When properly equipped, the Blazer can move up to 12,000 pounds, including vehicle, trailer, people, equipment, and cargo. Payload capacity is around 1,500 pounds. The variable ratio integral power steering system has a ratio range between 17.6 to 1 and 13.1 to 1 from on-center to at-lock respectively. There's not a whole lot of feel to it, but it's very smooth. The turning diameter is only 37 feet, which, combined with the short 106.5-inch wheelbase, makes tight maneuvers effortless. A steering damper underneath the truck helps filter out road imperfections to smooth things out even further, despite having the more utilitarian suspension setup. In 1989, the Blazer was offered with a choice between two engines, including a 5.7-liter V8 and a 6.2-liter naturally aspirated diesel V8. While not as common, the diesel engine developed 130 horsepower at 3,600 RPM and 240 pound-feet of torque at 2,000 RPM. The gas engine shown here developed 210 horsepower at 4,000 RPM and 300 pound-feet of torque at 2,800 RPM. In order to simplify things some, GM developed a new serpentine accessory drive system for 1989 that replaced the older multi-belt system for improved reliability. Extra Silverado-specific goodies shown here include an underhood lamp as well as cab defender and hood insulators. The addition of factory fuel injection in 1987 certainly improved drivability and performance for the gas engine when compared to the prior carburetor applications, but relative to today, of course, it leaves a lot to be desired. Before fuel injection became a thing, the standard engine was a 5-liter V8, with the 5.7-liter being optional. The 5-liter was dropped from the lineup with the introduction of fuel injection, leaving the 5.7-liter as the standard engine. Aside from the typical oil leaks of it just being old and a gnarly exhaust leak, this engine is in perfect working order. Even though the exhaust sounds cool, it really needs a complete redo as it's had some shoddy work in the past. The leak has resulted in an intermittent check engine light. As far as transmissions, a 4-speed floor-shifted manual transmission was standard. However, this example has the optional 700R4 4-speed automatic transmission with overdrive. It's routed through a traditional column-mounted shifter. 4-wheel drive was standard equipment too. In 1989, GM introduced a new chain-driven transfer case that featured a cast aluminum housing and a low-range ratio of 2.71 to 1. 1989 was also the only year for the speedometer cable-driven version of this transfer case. As far as fuel economy, these things came standard with a 31-gallon fuel tank when equipped with the gas engine. EPA fuel economy estimates range between 12 miles per gallon in the city and 16 miles per gallon on the highway. I average around 14 miles per gallon when using regular 87 octane. Another option shown on this example is the fuel tank shield, which protects it from rocks and other debris. With that option, you also received a transfer case shield. Again, I'd like to give a big thanks to Valvoline for supporting my channel. I've been using their products for years now, so naturally I'm honored to have their support. It's important to remember that as the miles pile up, you should be tailoring your oil to the specific needs of your engine to ensure a long life. Currently, the Blazer has a little over 150,000 miles on it. I recently did a full service on the truck using full synthetic Valvoline high mileage with max life technology motor oil, 5W30 to be specific. Again, I bought this thing last year because they're awesome, and they're getting harder to find in decent shape for a decent price. I'm not sure if it'll make it into a YouTube series or not, but I've had a lot of fun driving it in the meantime. Valvoline's newly formulated high-mileage oils are better than ever, offering enhanced anti-wear additives for up to 50% better wear protection, 10% better heat protection, and 25% better deposit protection than industry standards. They also offer additional detergents to help protect against sludge and deposits, as well as premium seal conditioners to help treat and prevent future oil leaks. With conventional, synthetic blended, and full synthetic oils, Valvoline has got you covered. Not only were they the first motor oil brand, but they were the first motor oil brand to develop a high mileage specific oil. Check out their product finder tool in the description box below to learn more about recommended products for your ride. As I mentioned earlier, the Blazer shared a lot with Chevy's square-body full-size pickup trucks. This is especially true when it came to the interior. The dashboard and door panels are identical. It's a clean, simple layout that's practical and ergonomically friendly. The build quality is nothing to write home about, but this one is in decent condition considering its age. The padded dashboard is nice, but it's common for them to crack. Depending on how far you want to go with restoring one of these, you can literally purchase everything, including a new padded dash, from a variety of retailers. The standard Scottsdale interior featured high-back front bucket seats wrapped in your choice of vinyl upholstery, as well as an AM radio, embossed rubber floor mats, and a color-keyed plastic headliner. The Silverado was quite different in that it introduced a lot of comfort and convenience amenities. The most important being standard reclining front seats, which were also optional on the Scottsdale. Along with that, you had a choice between higher quality custom vinyl or custom cloth upholstery. Other amenities included with the Silverado were color-keyed carpeting front to back, a foam-backed cloth headliner, extra insulation in the floor, power door locks, upgraded sun visors, brushed pewter-toned metal accents across the instrument cluster, dash and door panels, nicer door finishings with matte pockets and carpet trim, a center console with storage and beverage pockets, expanded rear sidewall trim panels with ashtrays and carpet trim, an upgraded sport steering wheel, and more. Blazers came standard with front seats only. The rear seat was optional, which expanded the total seating to 5. The front seats are very comfortable and the custom cloth upholstery is soft. There are no additional adjustments aside from reclining and sliding. All of the controls on the dash are centered around the driver, and the instrument cluster is one of my favorite from this era. It's a comprehensive cluster that shows all of the essential vitals. You could even opt for an analog clock in the bottom of the left side gauge pack. The AC controls are to the right of the instrument cluster. It's a straightforward setup with 3 toggle levers to make adjustments to temperature, fan speed, and zone output. As far as the audio system, there were several options to choose from. You could also opt to delete the radio altogether to save some money. This one has the mid-level electronically tuned AM/FM stereo with cassette tape deck and digital clock. It was paired with 2 3.5-inch front dash speakers and 2 4x10-inch rear speakers with 28 watts of total output. You could even opt for a radio that had a full graphic equalizer if you wanted to fine-tune the sound further than just your standard bass and treble. To access the rear seat, you simply slide the front seats forward and tip the backrests forward. It can be a little tricky to climb in, being that there aren't any grip handles. The rear seat is incredibly roomy. Being 5 foot 10 inches, I had plenty of extra head and leg room, enough to stretch out too. The seat isn't the most supportive and it doesn't have headrests, but it's padded well. The rear seat belts in 1989 were lap belts. In 1990, 3-point shoulder harnesses were added. However, this required elimination of the rear seat armrests. To compensate, GM added pads to the tops of the wheel housings. Overhead, there's interior lighting and coat hooks. The only other amenities include the side panel ashtrays. There aren't any cup holders without having to fold back the lid of the center console, and there aren't any additional storage pockets. Out back, the Blazer had a rear window that must be lowered before you can open the tailgate. On the Scottsdale, the window was operated manually by a crank handle. On the Silverado, a power motor within the tailgate did all of the work. The window could be operated by using the key cylinder on the tailgate or by a button on the dashboard. With the window lowered, you simply reach in and lift up on the handle to lower the tailgate. There's lots of rear cargo space behind the rear seat, even with having the spare tire in place. There's a coat hook and cargo area lighting up top for added convenience. If no one is sitting in the rear seat, you can fold it up and out of the way to further expand cargo space. Cargo space with the rear seat in place measures a generous 35.9 cubic feet. With the rear seat folded up, that space expands to 59.8 cubic feet. If you ordered a Blazer without the rear seat altogether, you'd have 110.6 cubic feet of space. I, for one, love the tailgate style opening. It still retains some truck-like practicality and it looks cool. When the top is off and the window is lowered, the Blazer looks very similar to a short bed K10 pickup truck. Well everyone, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the in-depth look at this 89 Chevrolet Blazer. Be sure to stay tuned next time and leave a like down below because it really helps the video a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so because of course, there's always a lot more where that came from. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.